Welcome to Tea with Tanya podcast. Every week, I'll be brewing up a perfect blend of public health stories, which will include maternal and reproductive health, career and academic advice, self-love, health, and wellness tips. Join me, your host, Tanya. I'm a public health professional working in maternal health. I'm a birth and postpartum doula, a placenta encapsulation specialist, and certified lactation counselor by day. And I'm your average tea-loving millennial and content creator by night. So pour yourself up a cup of tea and join me in the tea tasting room for your weekly dose of inspiration where you are the center of our conversation. This podcast is here to serve you. So come take a sip with me and let's start promoting positive living together. Hey, welcome back to Tea with Tanya. Welcome. Happy to have you here. Another week, another Tuesday, new episode. I just want to say thank you to all of you who have shown out and showed up for the mindfulness series. We concluded last week, but let me just say the support you guys have shown by sending me WhatsApp messages, sending me DMs on Instagram, and by just even listening, because I can see that, has truly motivated me and has inspired me to continue to be consistent. Because I'll be honest, when I decided late 2022 to go towards the series/theme route, I wasn't sure what to expect, but I also knew it was going to be something that was going to hold me accountable and to ensure that I was going to be consistent with the type of content I was going to put up, but also with being consistent with during the planning phase, the recording, getting it over to the editor, having the episode back to upload, all these different things. It has truly motivated me, and it's something that I thoroughly enjoy even more now. Like, I actually look forward to sitting down, writing an episode or planning an episode and recording it. And of course, now I'm even more happy that I get to send it to an editor. But definitely, it's giving me a sense of purpose. Not so that I didn't have it before, but now I'm like, okay, this is actually my business. It's actually my other baby. Because let me tell you, I have so many children. It's crazy. So working on my podcast consistently is like my other child. I gave birth to it about 2 years ago. So now we're in the toddler stage, and we know terrible twos. We know how that can be. But it has given me a sense of hope and purpose. So I'm happy, and I'm looking forward to starting this new series that we're about to start on this episode. Last week, on the end of the mindfulness series, we wrapped up with my girl Amber talking about intentional career planning. So how fitting that I am going to be starting a maternal health series. I know I just mentioned that my podcast is in the terrible twos or the toddler stage. So of course, I didn't even think about that. But anyway, we're going to be talking about, this is going to be a maternal health series. Before you skin your face up or you think, oh, here she go, or this is not going to be for me, I want you to take a moment to actually listen to this episode and to the entire series, because even, it's for someone who may be pregnant, someone who may just had a baby, someone who's trying to conceive, or even if you may know someone who's pregnant or just had a baby, or all these different things. Because for me, I'm not pregnant. I don't have any kids. I only have kids by way of my nonprofit and this podcast and my doula business. Those are my kids. But, I'm in my phase, or I'm in the priming phase of pregnancy. And what I mean by that, let me just clarify that, okay? I had an epiphany. I think it was one of these episodes that we recorded. I think it was with Jay when we spoke about, working out or preparing your bodies for pregnancy. And I was like, oh, that was an aha moment, because here I am educating people who are pregnant or during postpartum or even trying to conceive, but I'm leaving myself out in the process. And I'm just like, no, girl, you're trying to have a baby. Granted, I may be a 40-year-old mom, okay? I'm going to just tell that right now. But I am in the primary or the priming stage of trying to conceive. And that's by working out, trying to eat better, trying to be more mindful of what I'm putting in my body so that my body can be at its optimal health when that time comes. Because sometimes we often forget that. We just think, okay, you know what, let's go have sex. Let this man come inside of me, or the technical term, by having sex, you know how that process goes of conceiving a baby. And some of us think that that's the only way. No, we need to be working and priming our bodies from now if we know we're planning to have babies. See, that can be priming your body. It can just be even just preparing your mind for motherhood. So yes, so this series is for you. If you think it's not, I say all that to say that it is for you. We have some good guests that will be on the podcast this series, so I'm looking forward to it. But on today's episode, I'm going to talk about my journey into becoming a doula. And it's only right because I have a passion for maternal health, and I was a doula before I even knew I was a doula. And I know I've shared my story briefly here and there on social media. So I'm just going to tell you guys why and how I became a doula. I'm going to spill some tea. Some of it might be a little TMI and I don't know what. I'm just going to keep it real because I am who I am. And I was going to have a podcast if I can't be honest about why I'm doing certain things. Okay. Don't judge me. Okay. This is a safe space, judgment free zone here in this tea tasting room. All right. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a backstory as it relates to how I became a doula. Now, I have an older sister. She's just 5 years older than me. Hey, Toya. But she had my niece. Actually, this year's going to make 13 years. But anyway, she was pregnant with her first child. She lives in Vancouver, Canada. And at the time, I was living in New Jersey going to school. I had just moved from Antigua to go to school. And she came to visit me. And she was pregnant. We were excited. The first grandchild or the first baby in my immediate family. So it was an exciting time. But she was about 20 weeks, I think 20, 21 weeks pregnant when she came, or at the time when the story I'm about to tell you happened. And she came to visit me, and we went to the Jersey Gardens Mall in Elizabeth, New Jersey. I'm just setting the scene here. And it's a big mall. So for those of you who are not familiar, at the time, Jersey Gardens Mall was the biggest mall in New Jersey. Or that's what my uncle told me. So I don't know, fact check for me, but that's what he told me at the time. And I remember us going there because when you go to vacation in New Jersey, that's a mall that you have to go to. But anyway, so we went to the mall, and that mall is huge, guys. So you can walk on one side of that mall and not even complete, or even go to every store or see every store in that mall. So we were walking around for a long time, and it's tiring and all these different things. And I remember when we got home, we were taking the bus home. When we got home back to the house, my sister was like, she was like, oh, I didn't feel the baby kick today. Guys, at this time, I think I was like 19. I'm going to say 19, 20. I'm going to I thought it was 20. Oh, I wasn't quite 20 yet. So I'm going to say I was 19 because I turned 20 later that month because that was in May. And she said to me, oh, T, I didn't feel the baby kick. So maybe naive, and don't judge me, guys, because when you're 19, 20, you're not even thinking about how many times the baby should be kicking, or you're not even thinking, I don't know. I was not thinking that, to be quite honest. And she said to me, I didn't feel the baby kicking. And I said, well, she's probably just tired because we've been walking all in the mall. That was, thinking back, that was one of the most naive. I'm not going to say dumbest things I've said, because I've said some, one of the most naive statements I could have ever made. Telling my sister, who was 20, 21 weeks, who was used to feeling her baby move. And I'm telling her, the baby's probably tired because of all the walking that we did in the mall earlier that day. What in the world was I thinking? But anyway, so we called our mom. She was in Antigua. Our mom was like, that's a bit abnormal. We should go to the hospital to see what happened. And I'm telling my sister, okay, let's just see. Again, she's probably tired. She's probably just sleeping. Baby's not meant to move every second. So we ended up waiting because this was like about 11 or 12 at night, I think it was. And early in the morning, the next day, she still wasn't really feeling any movement. So it was like limited movement. So my uncle took us to the hospital. Got to the hospital, and she was admitted to labor and delivery right away. I will say, shout out to those at the University Medical Center in Jersey City, because she got admitted to the labor and delivery right away. They ran all these different tests, and she was leaking fluids, all this time. We didn't even know what these terms were because, again, one, it probably was an emergency, and two, what I've come to realize in this work is that some doctors, they just run them out, talk, not giving a damn about what the patient needs to understand. This is not all doctors, I'm just saying at the time. So is this all gibberish to us at foreign language, don't know what they're saying. And anyway, long story short, they came back and told my sister that, she's leaking fluid and they're going to have to deliver the baby. And they were like, it's a 50-50 chance. And this is my memory, my recollection. I'm not sure if it's the same for my sister, but this is just my memory of what happened that day. And I remember them telling my sister that the likelihood of the baby surviving was 50-50. And I remember the doctor, can I remember his name? Because it's been so long ago, but they were basically leaning towards the negative aspect or the negative side of that 50-50 chance. And I remember my sister looking at me, she was so confused, again, first baby. She was so confused, so distraught, still trying to figure out what is going on because she did everything that she could to ensure that her baby was safe. And now you're hearing it's a 50-50 chance. And then you're also hearing that, oh, let's lean towards the negative part of the 50-50, like basically encouraging a termination or whatever is it they were trying to do. That was my interpretation. I remember stepping up because I'm the second child, yes, but I'm the little big sister, as they call me. I'm just the queen bee of the sisterhood. I'm gonna just stop that. So if my siblings are listening, I'm sorry for you guys. You guys know I'm carrying the family on my back. But I remember telling them that, let's just lean towards the 50-50 of the chances of the baby surviving. We're gonna do everything. We're gonna pull out all the stops. I mean, I didn't say it in this tone, I'm gonna be honest with you, because one, I have an accent, and two, I was speaking dialect. I was just going off because you're not gonna no, we are faith-based people. You're not gonna tell us, oh, let's just go to where it's terminating, let's do this negative thing. No, we're gonna say if there's a 50-50 chance, we're gonna go towards that part of us or of the baby surviving. So fast forward, she ended up having the emergency C-section, and my niece was born, our ladybug, and she barely weighed a pound, if even, to be honest. I think she was just exactly a pound or something, but she was like really small, like she could fit in the palm of your hand, like that small. And I remember, she was in the NICU. She spent her first year in the NICU, but she was there. We saw all these cords hooked up, and we were in the hospital, sleeping on the hospital floor. Like, let me tell you, it was just a moment, okay? And it was in that moment, at the time, I didn't even know what the word advocate meant, right? And after going through life, I realized that, okay, I was an advocate at the time, or I acted as a doula for my sister during that time by providing, trying to Google different things about what's going to happen if a child is born this way. All these different things I was Googling, because at the time I was a Google doctor. And just having the support or being there to support my sister during that time. No, it was a heartwarming experience, even though it was stressful. Imagine having a C-section and you're having to have your child in the NICU hooked up to all these different cords. You can barely hold her, all these different things. But I will give a special shout out to the NICU nurses at that hospital, because let me tell you, they were not only heaven sent, they worked their asses off. They were amazing. Like, my sister even became friends with a bunch of them, even after my sister, they flew back to Canada after about 6 months of being in that hospital. Like, they did their thing. My sister, like I said, my niece, she spent her first year of life in the hospital, and she's still here with us, being born. Like, she's, we call her our miracle baby, and of course, she's my ladybug. So that's the backstory, was when I first got a glimpse into maternal health. And I say that to say, because after experiencing that, I wanted to become a nurse. I mean, I was wanting to be a nurse, but I wanted to become a nurse working in labor and delivery. Again, I didn't know that was like a maternal health aspect of the healthcare field, but I knew I wanted to become a nurse working in labor and delivery because of the experience that we had. And I wanted to be the one that was able to educate our moms, especially our Black moms, because I'm not going to sit here and like, oh no, like some Black, like we know the statistics as it relates to maternal mortality in this country, in the United States. So I wanted to be one to be an advocate, to speak up, whether my tone wasn't going to be the best, because let me tell you, my tone sometimes, my delivery is not always the best, but I have good intentions. That's when I say not always the best, I can come off sounding like a you know what, but I'm just trying to get stuff done. I'm trying to advocate for my people. So that's when I knew I wanted to be a nurse in labor and delivery. Of course, you guys know the story of me going to nursing school, doing really well, and failing out of the program, and been trying to get my life back on track ever since. Well, it's back on track now, but I'm just saying during that time. So that was my first stint in working in anything maternal health or being an advocate for someone in that position. It was with my big sister, and it forever changed my life. But after, on my quest to nursing school, and after failing out of the program, I had to sit and decide, okay, you got to wait 2 years to actually even get back into a nursing program, or I've gone to other schools where I've been rejected. Let me tell you, I was the rejection queen. Like, my faith really pulled me out of being depressed and just being sad. My faith and the support system that I had around me, because I was rejected letter after letter, school after school, about not being able to enter the nursing program. So imagine, having good grades, but then you failed a particular class, and they're telling you have to wait 2 years to get back into a program. Like, I'm too old for this. I don't have time for that. Anyways, I discovered the field of public health by way of my aunt, and I did my research and landed at the Georgia State University. Shout out to GSU, and was majoring in public health. I had a limited idea of what kind of job I could do in public health, but I decided, you know what, this is it. Did the research. I saw the many potentials or the many opportunities that I would be able to have with a public health degree. So I went for it. I went for it, and I dived right into it. Graduated top of my class. I'm gonna put that in there. Applaud myself. But my first ever class, I forgot the name. I think it was Intro to Public Health, and I had a professor. His name is Jack Corey Cormier. I'm going to call his name Dr. Jack Corey Cormier. Handsome young man. But he was my first professor in undergrad in public health. And then every semester after that, I had him at least once or twice, depending on what class I was taking. And we just developed a relationship. I was on his research team, and we just developed a relationship. It's not every time you meet a professor who's not that much older than you, I mean, have had their PhD or their professor, and they really do want the best for their kids. I was there for when he got married, when he was picking the ring for his wife. When I say I was there, I'm talking about like the class that we had an input in the type of rings that he was going to get, or him and his wife are going to get. So in case your mind is going elsewhere. And shoot, I was even there at his baby shower after graduating. But he became somewhat of a mentor. And I remember, in the last episode that we had, the intentional career planning, Amber said that she didn't necessarily ask someone to be her mentor. She, they developed a relationship, and she wasn't like, oh, can you be my mentor? But no, you develop relationship with different people, and you seek them out for advice, and it's a two-way street. Because sometimes I think, when you have a mentor, it's just all about them pouring into you and you're not pouring into them. So, he became somewhat of my mentor. He wasn't officially, we didn't say, oh, Dr. Cormier, could you be my mentor? No, we just developed a relationship where I would tell him certain things about my life and the future and these different things. And he developed a 5-year plan for me. Well, we developed a 5-year plan. And this was in 2019. This was the year before I graduated, because I ended up graduating in 2020. And we did that 5-year plan with my input on an orange paper. And I still have that orange paper in my book where I have like a bunch of different notes and everything. And everything that he was asking me or what we were talking about, it kept coming back to homelessness and maternal health. Like whatever question he was asking me, where do you see yourself? What do you want to do? And it came back to giving back to underserved communities. It came back to giving back to my country, which is Antigua. So the main things that were happening on that 5-year paper that we planned was homelessness, giving back to the people in underserved communities, period poverty. But at the time, I didn't necessarily know it was period poverty. I just remembered going to Uganda that year for a study abroad and wondering, wow, when we give these pads and these clothes to these people, what's going to happen after we left? Are they going to bleed on themselves? All these different things. So it came down to those three: maternal health, homelessness, and reproductive health. We'll call that. And then I remember him asking me, and I'm just going to say this here, guys, because I'm still building my life here. Homelessness is still an issue for me. I still don't understand why people are even homeless to begin with, but that'll be another podcast episode. But I remember him asking me, why don't you become a doula to get your feet wet in maternal health? I said, Dr. Coleman, what in the world is a doula? And he started telling me, and I started doing my research. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. And I told him I'm going to do some research, right? So we had my 5-year plan on my orange paper. And I told him I'm going to do some research as it relates to maternal health. He even told me, and this is 2019, he even told me to apply for the grad school maternal child certificate program that GSU had at the time, because they were just starting out. It was going to be a pilot program at the grad level and these different things. And let me tell you, I'm going to tell you how life can come full circle. But he even told me this, and I kept that paper, and every now and then, I would try to manifest or write in my little journal what I want to accomplish as it relates to where do I see myself in public health? Because let me tell you, working in public health, like there's so many opportunities that to me, you can feel like you're being swallowed by a shark because you don't even know where to start. Unless you have someone who can be, again, like a mentor, like an Amber, like a Dr. Cormier, who I've mentioned several times in this podcast episode already. It's very hard to sometimes decide where you want to go in your career. And I remember him telling me that. And then I remember, like I mentioned on the podcast last week with Amber, she also told me, why don't you become a doula and get your feet wet? So it was the second person telling me this. She even sent me an Instagram profile for a black doula at the time. Was she a midwife? A black doula who was doing big things. And then I was driving on the highway in Atlanta. I kid you not, in stuck in traffic. Because if you listen to this podcast and you live in Atlanta, you know how that can be. And then I saw a sign. It was out on somebody's car or somewhere that's saying something about a doula. And I said, you know what? I don't know how many more signs God need to show me, so let me get on it. And I remember going to the link on the person's profile that Amber suggested to me. And I was looking at doula classes. And let me tell you guys, first of all, I'm a college student. Okay. I was broke. I was broke. And I mean, you know what? I'm not going to say I was broke. I was financially challenged at the time. And I remember I just could not afford to pay for this doula class. And I was like, damn, first of all, one, I can't even afford to support a black business. And two, I can't even support myself to try to advance and get a career in maternal health. So I had to wait and fast forward to 2020 when I graduated college, had a job working in the public health field. At this time, we're in the heart of COVID. So it was jobs were just coming up, popping up, and it was just my chance to get my foot wet at the time. And in September of 2020, I did my research and found the different organizations that were offering classes. And I came across an individual in Georgia who had the class at a very affordable rate and, of course, had payment plans. And I took the dive, didn't know what I was getting into, and I paid that money. I had to drive, I think, almost 3 hours from where I was living in Georgia to where the location was. It was every weekend. It was like a 3 weekend type class. And I did that for three weeks. And let me tell you guys, it is the best decision as to how I became a doula. And I feel like I'm missing something. But outside of my sister and having that experience and realizing, like, for some reason, and I don't even think my sister realized how this particular pregnancy of hers impacted my life and just changed my life, And then, of course, going to taking classes in public health, seeing the maternal mortality rate in the US compared to that in, let's say, Japan or even in England or some part in Asia or Europe, seeing that the US basically was at the bottom of the list. And then it got me thinking about even what is the maternal mortality rate like in my own country and these different things. And so taking these classes, talking to my professor, talking to Amber, taking these classes in school during my undergrad, public health, and then taking the birth doula classes has truly, it's the best thing. So that's kind of how I became a doula. I don't know if that was clear enough for you guys, but that's how I became a doula, because I just became passionate about wanting to educate, because I realized I didn't know everything. And I know if I didn't know everything, I mean, I still don't, but if I didn't know some things, I can just only imagine that some people don't, the things that I was learning. And I went to my class and we did, of course, our childbirth education, breastfeeding basics class, all these different things. And I learned so much that it was also even a lot to process, even after 3 weeks of training, to be quite honest with you. It was a lot to process. I learned not only about providing support to clients, but also how to build your doula business in that training. So that, it was very thorough. And guys, yeah, it's about to be almost 3 years since I've been a doula. And since then, a birth doula. Since then, I've gone on to become a postpartum doula. Literally in recent times, even though they give you basic training in your birth doula training, I actually went on just in 2022 to do my certification to become a certified postpartum doula as well. Then I've since then gone on to be a certified lactation counselor. So, I have 3 letters behind my name, CLC. I got 3 more to add. I got 2 more there's just so many, that's besides the point. But, I've gone on to educate myself. I've done speaking engagements, even though I hate my speaking voice, yet I'm here recording a podcast because I just like talking. I'm just like educating and having fun. But I've done speaking engagements as it relates to maternal health. I even have one coming up and I'm so nervous about. So I've just done things because I realized, and even I landed, I'm going to say my dream job, because right now it's a dream. Like, I have not complained one time to get up to go to work. Granted, sometimes when I'm working from home, don't judge me, I work for 8:30 in the morning. I can literally roll up out of bed at 8 o'clock and just go into my office and record. And get to work. That's besides the point. But I don't, because I'm an early riser. So I'm up journaling, doing these different things. But if I wanted to, I could. So I have not complained one time. I actually get up looking forward to going to work. And work can be heavy. Work can be, like I was talking to my manager earlier, say work can be challenging, but in a good way. Because, nothing is meant to be easy. But the work that we do, working in maternal health, trying to reduce the disparities amongst the community here that I'm working in, trying to lower the maternal mortality and infant mortality rate. It's a lot. And, I'm realizing that I'm working with some of these people, and people just don't know. And it's not even to knock anybody down. Some of us, we just don't know. You listening to this podcast, and as you continue to listen to this series, because I'm just sharing my story with you guys, and I'm just going to share, the role of a doula so you get an idea. But as you continue to listen to this series, you're going to come to understand, wow, we really need to be taking care of our bodies, be more mindful, and all these different things as it relates the work that it takes to conceive a child, to carry a child full term, and even if it's preterm, because preterm could be 36 weeks, could be 30 weeks, whatever it is, like the different intricacies of pregnancy, you guys are going to learn, and you'll have a better appreciation for families, for moms, these different things, because it's not an easy process. Like, your body goes through trauma when you're pregnant and when you're giving birth. It's a beautiful experience and empowering, but your body's going through trauma, and not many people realize that. So I found my passion, and I'm able to use my doula skills at work, even outside of work. I say to myself, I'm in my educator bag these days, because I am becoming a better teacher. I'm becoming a better public speaker. Shout out to my Toastmasters group here in the US. But I'm becoming a better, and here I go saying, that's a word we're not supposed to use when we're talking, but here I go. But guys, I am who I am, one day at a time. But I'm in my rebuilding phase, like I mentioned on one of my episodes, but I'm also in my education teacher bag, where I'm trying to educate and teach about breastfeeding, postpartum, all these different things, because again, as women, or whatever you may identify as, you just need the support. And our role as a doula is to do that. As a doula, we are here to offer, physical support, emotional support, informational support. And this is during your pregnancy, at childbirth, and even postpartum. Because sometimes postpartum is a phase in the pregnancy journey that we don't often focus on. Or, sometimes I feel like, because some of these things you can Google, what is the role of a doula? But I do want to just share some tips here, coming from one doula to you guys listening to my beautiful voice here, that we are here to offer you physical support, emotional, informational, and of course, we are non-medical professional. Let me just say this right here, because I've had people ask me, "Do you catch babies?" No, ma'am. No, sir. I don't. I wish I'm not there yet. It's coming though. It's coming, but we don't catch babies. We're just here to offer you these support as you go through, providing education, so you know what your body is going through at different stages and different phases in your pregnancy, what is going to go through when you're in labor, how long labor can take. So we're here to do all that as it relates to you. We're here. We probably see you more than your doctor. For me, I see my clients pretty often. Sometimes I'm even at doctor's appointments with them, because I want to ensure that I'm not speaking on their behalf, but I'm their advocate. But I'm also ensuring that they are educated enough to know what questions to ask their provider when they see them. So that's one of my goals. And some benefits, you have some reduced rates of cesarean sections. And of course, having a C-section is not a bad thing, because, we're going to talk about some myths. But having a C-section is not a bad thing either. But we're here to reduce that rate, reduce the use of pain medication, and also just to help improve birth outcomes, trying to reduce their disparities, help to improve birth outcomes. Like, no one should be dying at childbirth in this day and age. We're in 2023. It just doesn't make sense to me. So we're here to reduce all of that, to provide you peace of mind. We're here to provide physical comfort measures, such as, massaging, different positioning, breathing techniques during labor. Because let me tell you, these breathing techniques, guys, like for me, I know you probably think, oh yeah, I know how to inhale and exhale. Or you see in the movies when they're talking about you got to breathe this way. No, there are breathing techniques that we help to teach you so you can have during labor. And then, of course, we're here to offer emotional support and encouragement during the birthing process, not only for the pregnant individual, but also to the partner. Because oftentimes, we tend to leave our partners out, and I'll have an episode talking about that, but we tend to leave our partners out. But as a doula, the role is to also provide support not only to the pregnant individual, but to the partner. Get you involved. I mean, I'm here to help you and your family. Yes, that's my role. That's what you're paying me for. But no, you got to get involved, get your hands dirty. So that's definitely one of the role that we play as well. Having a doula, we can result in shorter labor. And I know I mentioned about reducing the need for pain medication. I know there's always some misconceptions rather about doulas. And let me just say this. Because sometimes they're like, oh, doulas are here to replace medical professionals. No, that is absolutely false. FALSE. It is false. We're not here to replace any gynecologists or midwives. We do not provide medical care. So there's no way that we can replace that. So when you're listening to this and you're thinking about hiring a doula, no, we're not here to just encourage you to you can only have a natural unmedicated birth. No, we're here to offer you support no matter what it is. It could be a natural birth, that could be vaginal, with or without pain medication. We're there to support you, even if you have a C-section, if you have to be induced, all these other medical interventions. We are there to support you regardless of the type of birth you have. So I want to point that out. As a doula, whatever birth you desire, we're here to advocate and ensure you get the birth that you want. No birth is better than the other. All birth, or most births are technically empowering. And I like to say all birth. That may not be everybody's take. But no matter what it is empowering, because when you have to carry a child for as long as you do to bring a child into this cruel world, that it is empowering. So it is false. We're not here to catch babies. Although I will say this, guys, don't judge me, but I just like looking at vaginas. And I think being a doula has just put me in the perfect position to look at vagina anytime I want to. Like, it's just seeing that process. And when I'm talking to my clients, we're going to talk about how big your vagina is going to get. It's real. And for me, I try to bring the reality to my clients. Like, your vagina is going to get big. You're going to have a swollen vagina after you push that baby out. Let's be for real. I'm going to be there to put the eye stock on said vagina for you. But that's honestly, I just like I like to see the process during labor when I can see my clients are putting everything that I would have taught them into play. Like, I had my last birth in 2022. That was one of the most empowering births I've ever been a part of. And I said that because it was my first time working along with a midwife, and just to see my client was literally doing everything that I told her, even without my encouragement. Like, she didn't even give me the chance, honey. But, of course I did my part. But I'm just saying, it's always empowering seeing that she got her VBAC. We were in the shower, getting all soaked in the shower, making sure she was comfortable, but just seeing the body, how you can see when the baby's head is coming down into the pelvis, and then you see it's coming onto the vagina, to see how your vagina can just, as I'm just going to say, keeping it can stretch to accommodate no matter what size your baby is, it's going to do what it's going to do. So seeing all of that, I just like, I can look at vaginas all day, every day, is what I'm thinking, I should probably become a midwife, but we're going to see, because I like what I'm doing right now in my career, but who knows? But that's another reason why I became a doula. Don't judge me. I like looking at vaginas. They come in all shapes and sizes. So definitely, we're here as a doula to support you so you can have the desired birth outcome that you may want. And even if you don't get the desired birth outcome that you want, for whatever reason that may be, we're still here to offer you that support. So yeah, guys, I'm just going to encourage you to, if you're someone, there are all different types of doulas. Let me just say that really quickly. You have fertility doulas, you have, I forgot what's the other term, loss doulas, that they help with if you have experienced pregnancy loss. You're going through a tough time. Sometimes your family may not even know how to show up for you, because death and grief and all these different things, they're very real. So you have infertility, you have a loss doula, or grief and loss doula, you have birth, postpartum, you have community doulas, all these different things. So we are just here to ensure that you have the birth and the support that you need and you desire. Because we talk about support, and it's just a word that we throw loosely. But we're here to support you in any way that you can. And I'm just encouraging you. I'm going to put a link here if you're looking for a free consultation. If you're trying to conceive, you know someone who could use the support of a doula, I'm going to drop the link to my website, and you can hit me up, send an email, let me know. If you have any questions, just send it to me and we'll make it happen. Even if I do have virtual services as well as in person, but it's just a important thing for you to have a doula, because we need someone who's here to advocate on our behalf when we're not in the best frame of mind, when our body is doing what it needs to do to bring our babies earthside. So definitely think about or consider getting a doula, and make sure that you're priming your bodies as you prepare to even get pregnant. So guys, that is why I hope I shared why I became a doula. And I will say, it's a passion of mine to really and truly educate, empower, and just keep it real. Like I like being a doula because I want to educate those in the general public about the different phases and the things that your bodies go through from all aspects, from nutrition to physical movement to breathing to all everything that you can think of. And I've had clients or even some people who I work with, they could be on baby number 3 or even on baby number 5, and there's still things that they did not know. So it's trying to fix that stigma or put that education out there so people can know. People can, you can make your informed decision. You can actually know what to expect so that no one can, I will say, take advantage of you. So I became a doula because I like, one, it was my way to get into the maternal and child health field in public health, and now I'm thriving. I'm actually in grad school for that as well now. So life has come pretty full circle since 2010 when I experienced my sister having to have an emergency C-section at 21 weeks because she had some fluids and these different things leaking, and it was not safe for the baby. Having to quote unquote fight or advocate for my sister because they were leaning towards termination or the negative aspect of that 50-50. And I was like, no, we're faith-based people. We're going to pray. We're going to hope for the best. We're going to do everything we possibly can before we give up. And then here my niece is here. She was born 3 days after her auntie, so we're both Geminis, so that you know. But that was my first foot in anything maternal health. And then finding my footing in public health and having my professor / my mentor help me build a 5-year plan. We're actually in probably year 2 of that 5-year plan, to be honest. But having people I can bounce ideas or talk to who would encourage me to become a doula so I can get my foot into maternal and child. And because of my experience being a doula, it has provided me opportunities both professionally and personally, so that's just really a good thing. So I became a doula because I want to educate the general public, and especially to educate my community, my African Americans, my Black people, because sometimes we know, but there's just more that we can know, and also just to serve those in underserved communities, even people who may not be able to afford a doula, because the idea sometimes doula can seem like something that's a privilege or it's idolized or it's whatever we want to call it. It's only for those who are rich. No, a doula is for everybody. That's why I make it a mission that I serve those in underserved communities to those who are not even underserved. It doesn't matter where in the spectrum you fall. I'm going to provide my service because my service or being a doula there's no discrimination with what your gender, race, whatever it is. We all do need that support. So it's my goal has always been to give back to the community, give back to those who are often left out. And so that's one of my reasons why I became a doula, why I love being a doula. And of course, I like looking at vaginas. I love seeing it go to work. And I love imagining what happens, when you first, yeah, I'm gonna leave it as that. I just like seeing I just imagine, wow, can you imagine you were just having sex and then boom, the sperm fertilized the eggs, and then here you are 9 months later, or however long later, and now your vagina is doing this amazing thing and you're pushing this big head baby out. All these are different things. And I love it. I love what I do. I really, really do. And I hope this episode, I provided some insight. Maybe I'll go in more in depth as to what, more about doulas. But I know some of these things that you already know in a sense, but we're just here to provide the emotional, physical support and informational support to you guys. We are, we're the ones that are seeing you more than your doctors. We're making sure that you're prepped for when you go to these appointments. So really do consider hiring a doula. One, if you're trying to conceive, as soon as you get pregnant and I'm going to need this support, you definitely want to think about hiring a doula. And like I said, I'll put my link. Any questions you may have, you're free to send me an email, a DM on Instagram, whatever it is. And, I'll answer them. So I hope this episode was, I don't want to say inspiring, but it's just an honor to share my journey. I wanted it to be short, but you know me, I could not cut that journey into why I became a doula short. So hope you guys enjoy this episode. Be sure to like, subscribe, leave a review, guys. Help me out here. I want this consistent train. I have some goals that I want to attain by summer. Help a girl out. Just help me out here in these streets. But I am looking forward to the rest of this series. We are now, if you made it to the end, or if you just fast forward in between and you didn't hear what I said in the beginning, this is our maternal health series, and we have quite a few interesting but very good topics to talk about. We're going to talk about it all. We're not going to have any filter. We're going to keep it as it is. So definitely looking forward to seeing you on the next episode. Thank you so much for tuning in to Tea with Tanya. And I'll see you back here in my tea tasting room next week. Have a good day, wherever you are.